Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
I find it difficult to believe that a human being can change himself into a bat, or that by feeding upon the blood of the living, he can obtain eternal life. But what has this discussion to do with us, Baron Latos?
This is episode 158, recorded August 13th, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
Didn't you slap Sidney Poitier in the heat of the night?
I could have.
I could have, okay.
Mayhap I did, mayhap I did.
Sounded like that guy. My name is Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monster spirit psychos and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. With me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up is Chad Hunt, co-host of all of the Decades of Horrors currently. Also a film producer and director with Freak Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer. Chad, it's good to see you.
Thank you. I know it's good to see me. I get that a lot.
It is. All right. And also with us is Daphne, who is also stupendous and likable as hell. How are you, Daphne?
I am well, thank you.
Good to see
As
you.
always, so glad to be here with you guys, and nice to see you too.
And also,
she is always so happy to see us.
I am.
You must live a very boring life if we are the ones there. You're glad to see it comes around to that, because I don't know about you, but I'm like, if I have to look at Jeff's face one more time.
It's a gift, Chad.
To be able to keep looking.
For you or me.
All right. Also with us is Doc Rotten. Doctor, tell me the news. How you doing?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm doing well. It's a hot outside.
Is it? It was a nice day in Iowa. We get in our September and August. Actually, we don't talk like that in Iowa either. But anyway,
except for right now.
Yeah, right now. So great to have y'all here. Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine partner with Play Now Media and several other channels. Decades of Horror, the classic era, you can find on the classic sci-fi movie channel, the classic horror movie channel, and the Wicked Horror TV channel. Each of those channels include Decades of Horror, the classic era, and are available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, online website, and across all OTT platforms, as well as on mobile, tablet, and desktop. So check it out. A lot of good stuff there. It's a fairly modest subscription fee, or you can watch for free if you're okay with
if you're down with OTT.
So, yes. Yeah.
Got a lot of people out there looking up what the heck is that?
Okay. Spoiler alert. The movie we're doing today is almost 50 years old. Almost 70 years old.
I was going to say.
Almost 80 years old.
Oh my gosh, math.
Not really much to
Don't
spoil.
ever do math live.
And I saw it in the theater. How could that be? Oh, no. It's so we're going to spoil it. And on this podcast, what we usually do is start by giving some basic details of the film that we're going to cover, and then we follow that with our first impressions, some taglines, take a look at the posters, and then trip the light fantastic with whatever trips us up or something. Anyway, all right, going to the movie in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Here we go. Our movie this episode is House of Dracula, 1945. And that is the crest of Dracula, which proves it was Dracula because it was on his coffin, so it had to be Dracula. Directed by Earl C. Kenton, written by Edward T. Lowe Jr., with uncredited for the story were Dwight Babcock and George Bricker. The cast includes Lon Chaney Jr., John Carradine, Jane Addams, Onslow Stevens, Glenn Strange, Martha O'Driscoll, and Lionel Atwill. This is a Universal picture filmed at, guess where? Universal Studios for the interiors and the Universal Little Europe backlot for the exteriors.
Little Europe.
Started filming September 21st, 1945 and ended in October. The release date was December 7th, 1945. This one had lots of working titles. The Wolfman's Cure, Destiny, Dracula versus the Wolfman. No, wait, that doesn't sound very good. Let's try it the other way. The Wolfman versus Dracula. In Italy, La Casa dell'Orrio, which is the House of Horrors. Or in Portugal, O Retiro de Dracula, Dracula's Retreat. Going on a retreat. Where are you going? Dracula's castle. Sounds like fun. There's a spa, I hear. Quicksand, stuff like that. The synopsis: the Wolfman and Count Dracula beg Dr. Edelman to cure them of their killing instincts, but Dracula schemes to seduce the doctor's nurse. And don't forget Frankenstein's monster stuck in a cave below. I added that part.
Did you?
All right. Well, let's move quickly to first impressions. Yay. And this is Chad's pick. So go for it, Chad.
This was mine? Anyway, I'm waiting for 5 minutes and 31 seconds or whatever before I start. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, this is my first time seeing this. No, it's not. I've seen this movie 100 times. The House movies, how I call them, the House pair of movies, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula. This is one that is not my go-to movie when it comes to Universal horror. It's a little strange. There's a lot going on in this movie. You got Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, Dracula, and mad scientist / Mr. Hyde thing going there. The Hunchback assistant, you've got that. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in here for an hour and 7 minutes or however long it was. And I remember the first time I saw it, I had already seen the rest of the Frankenstein films. And I remember Ghost of Frankenstein was one of my favorites. The Lon Chaney version of the monster, and the ending was really good. And lo and behold, they used the same ending for Frankenstein in this movie as they did Ghost of Frankenstein. I mean, they just cut and spliced the ending of that movie right onto the end of this movie as far as Frankenstein goes. But Larry Talbot was good in here. I liked the little Clark Gable mustache he was trying to sport there. And he's always, it was a good ending for Larry Talbot, I thought. Not maybe the one I wanted to see, but a good ending. And Dracula got wiped out way early in the film. So I don't know why they called it House of Dracula. It must have been House to Rent by Dracula, maybe. Everybody else stayed behind. And then this the mad scientist guy, Dr. Edelman, he becomes the main baddie for the rest of the movie after Dracula dies. It was just a weird conglomeration of characters and storylines just colliding like a bad TV movie or a bad TV show or something. But I still love it. I still love seeing all the monsters on screen together, and it's my least favorite, but I like it. But it's my least favorite of the Universal horror movies. But That's all I have to say about that.
Even the Invisible Man and the.
Yeah, he was running around in the background. You couldn't see him, but he was there.
All right. Well, let's check out what Doc has to say next.
No. Well, I love my Universal monsters, and this is part of the conical storyline. I've seen this, maybe not hundreds like Chad. I've seen it maybe a dozen, maybe. Like I said, it's not one. Usually, if I'm watching the films, I usually bow out by the time I get here. Yeah, I used to say, okay, we're good. This one is so strange because the three creatures don't actually intertwine too much. I mean, they stumble upon each other, but they don't actually fight. I mean, if you really want to see these creatures go at it, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein is much better when they all kind of go at it there. But here they just kind of, trip over each other one time, and that's it. Like you said, Dracula gets out early, so he doesn't really go. It's the doctor that ends up battling them all. And then Frankenstein the monster that is so underutilized. It's kind of painful. And like you said, sometimes when you see him, it's not even Glenn Strange. There's some times when you see, I think just about every other iteration kind of show up.
Yeah.
But whatever. And then you said you liked this ending for Larry Talbot. This is no. I'd rather him jump off a cliff holding the bat going into the ocean. That's much better. Most people say this is the conical ending of the storyline. I'd rather ignore this one and go let Abbott Costello be the ending of it, because it leaves them in better places. But I don't know. It's still a blast. It's more of a kiddie version of it.
Yeah.
I mean, other than really, it doesn't really have the scares or the level of violence that the other ones have, even though Lon Atwell gets electrocuted yet again. But at the same time, that's about it, right? I mean, so yeah, it's not my favorite, but at the same time, I don't know. It's part of it's part of the mythos. It's part of the grand journey. You got to watch it. You got to admire it.
The 8-year-old kid in you should like it.
Oh yeah. The Monster Kid is great here. And is this like the last time Pierce did he do the makeup for?
Yeah, this was his last time.
Yeah, and that
doing those monsters. Yeah, he did other.
Yeah,
last time he worked for Universal, let him go movies. After this.
Yeah, so
as far as that.
Anyway, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All righty. Daphne, how about you? Had you seen this before?
I have not. I haven't seen either of the House movies, so I was super excited to see it, and I loved it from beginning to end. I wish I could have watched it again if I had time. I don't think that it played much on TV for me when I was a kid. Or also would have seen it like on the weekends or in the summer, but from the very beginning with the backdrop and that music, I was just so in, and I could picture myself waiting for the commercial to run into the kitchen of Oma's house and have a cheese sandwich, because make a cheese sandwich and run back out again. It was so much fun. Yeah, it was like just everything thrown in there, but I kind of liked that too. It made me so hungry for more Universal monsters, and I loved there's a couple costumes that I thought were super cool. I liked some of the makeup a lot. I'm totally in love with Nina. I think she's awesome. And there were some really cool scenes in it too. So I had a lot of fun, and I'm gonna watch House of Frankenstein soon too.
You better. I have a question for you. Do you put mayonnaise on your cheese sandwich?
Butter.
All right. Butter works.
I knew I liked you, Daphne. All right. I have a
Please.
somewhat embarrassing story about this movie. I actually think this is the first of the Universal horror movies that I saw.
Oh wow.
I hadn't seen, it was, I don't know, where I grew up or my parents wouldn't let me or something. I sort of have this vague feeling of watching this when I wasn't supposed to be watching it or something. Because it'll scare you and you'll have nightmares. But there's the only thing I really remembered from it, and this stuck in my mind from childhood, was finding the Frankenstein monster in the cave. I remember that just as clear as day. I remember that it had Dracula and it had Wolfman, and that was the thing that stuck in my mind. Well, then literally like years and years and years later, I hadn't seen it again. And this is after Horror News Radio started, and I was trying to find it, and I somehow or another I was never coming up with the right title, and I apparently my search skills were bad, so I actually made a comment on the HNR Facebook page. It said, what movie is it that has all the monsters in it and this? And of course, guess who answered?
Santos.
No.
Jerry Chandler.
Jerry Chandler.
Chandler. Yeah, you gotta try.
And I felt, after he told me that, I felt like an idiot. It was like, of course, but I don't know why I couldn't find it. I must have been, I don't know if I was looking under Castle or I don't know. But anyway, so that was my first experience. So I'm almost certain, because I didn't see Dracula till I was like 14 or something like that. On a late night show. So anyway, I didn't know these weren't the right guys. I thought it was great. And watching it now, it's weird to me that, we have this image of John Carradine based on his latter career.
Mm-hmm.
But in his early career and up through this time period and even into the 50s, he really did some damn good acting. And I think he does what he can in this one. There's not a whole lot of different things he has to do, but I love his voice and I love his stature. And anyway, I in this one, I thought he made a pretty good Dracula. It's you don't see much of Frankenstein, but this one's the House of Dracula. And even then, I'm kind of like, I think, Chad, you said something. I don't know. How the hell did he get the House of Dracula? How did this guy end up in there? I don't know. There's this legend. And Dracula's still living in the basement, or he just moved back in? I don't know. Anyway.
Just moved back in.
What is it? What does he say? Yeah, but how did you get your casket in here? Because the door was locked. Well, since you don't believe in the supernatural, let's just say the door was unlocked. So anyway,
John Carradine was he was known to say about this movie, you can give them Macbeth, Shakespeare, and all that. He goes, and all they remember you for is being a damn vampire.
And he goes on to do many, many more. So anyway, I enjoyed it. I really did. Even the goofy character Steinmule, and it is that there's so much that happens in this. So much stuff happens, and it's like bing, bang, boom, bada bing, bada boom. It just goes quick, quick, quick. Dracula's dead about halfway through the movie. Sorta. But then anyway. So I enjoyed the hell out of it, and it's short. I love the sets. Yes. Like all the sets are not quite as grandiose as the original Frankenstein or Dracula, but pretty close. That's a pretty cool stuff going on. All right. Is it my favorite Universal movie? No. Is it my least favorite? No. I don't know. I think Chad's forgetting about all the Invisible Man movies.
Oh yeah, past the first one.
And I like those too, just because I like
Invisible Spy and all that kind of.
The whole concept of an invisible man. I just love.
What about all the mummy movies?
Yeah.
So
His hand, his foot, his pinky.
we do have a regular,
The toilet bowl of the mummy.
and then there's Abbott Costello and the Invisible Man.
Abbott Costello and the mummy.
Which is anyway. All right. Well, it's time for our little piece now. It's 20 minutes and 20 seconds into the show. It is now time for Taglines with Chad.
This movie had taglines?
It does.
This movie's too old to have taglines.
And you're gonna love them, trust me.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm just looking at them. I'm just gonna read them, okay? Horror upon horror in the house of Dracula. No reaction. Okay.
I was not.
All new, all together.
The Beatles are back
Special
together
episode
again.
of Family Ties.
Oh boy.
Okay. Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, Dracula, Mad Doctor, Hunchback, all new, all together.
Horror upon horror.
Horror upon heaped upon horror. Upon shoveled upon horror. All right. Number 4, The Devil's Own Brood.
I like that one, actually.
That's probably the best one. Never before so much horror under one roof.
If you don't look at the movie that came out a year earlier.
He never lived at my house growing up.
Is your uncle there, Chad?
No, he's not here. Talk about The Devil's Own Brood. Anyway, the super shock sensation of all time. All together, all terrific, all the time, bringing all new thrills. All day.
The super shock sensation of all time. That's strangely enough, that's kind of a common one, isn't it? Super shock. All right.
People were new at getting scared back then. Didn't have the words for it, apparently. This I take it back, Doc. This is my favorite.
Maybe.
I was
Okay.
this is the best, perhaps.
Yeah,
the
this is the best one. Arm yourself with anti-goose pimple lotion, old chum.
Okay.
I'm not even going to ask where you can get anti-goose pimple lotion.
Taglines with Chad. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a great thing. William Castle would have sold it at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, would you though?
Yes. Well, let's.
Every time you feel the seat tingle, reach under your seat and grab your lotion, your anti-pimple cream lotion, goose pimple lotion.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Go on, do
Goose
it.
Pimples. All right. So
I'm reaching down there, but there's no lotion. There's something
some
else.
posters. Some posters.
Stop.
What movie did they show before this?
Oh my
Lotion's
goodness.
gone. Somebody used the lotion. Oh, no. All new, all together. There's that one, and then we got every one of these has all these people labeled: Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, Dracula, Mad Doctor, Hunchback.
Look
And
at that
it's
evil
weird
Hunchback.
that they
Yeah, I know.
advertising the
Ooh.
nice nurse, Hunchback nurse with the hunchback as a part of the monsters.
They had to throw them all in there.
Anyway,
It was a graveyard smash.
and every one of them has all those faces on it. This is one of the.
No, those are
Man.
Now we see Dracula's flexing his cape up there.
Yeah.
That Mad
And-
Doctor looks
and-
like he just stepped on a Lego in his bare feet.
Yeah. I like the top hat. The top hat is a great addition to this.
All new, all together. Especially when he has it cocked to the side.
Yeah.
Kind of a jaunty, man.
I'm kind of wondering, did the bat have a little hat too? I didn't see it.
I hope so.
Well, I loved how
He was in his tuxedo, but I didn't see the hat.
Transylvania
your clothes
tuxedo.
all disappear when you
Because
die too.
Because the movie starts, doesn't the movie start? If I remember correctly, it starts with Dracula just showing up and reaching in, opening up the door, and walking on in.
Yeah, this is the start. Is this?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great.
And then he just walks in the house.
He looks like Mr. Peanut knocking
And
on
he goes,
the
"What are you
window.
doing? Wait a minute. Who are
Oh,
you?"
yeah.
All he's missing is a monocle.
Oh, yes.
So we see
Do
the
not
bat.
pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah, we got the bat flying up there, and then he actually. So at this movie, sometimes, I mean, the bats never look like bats. That's not what bats look like when they're flying. But
It still looked like that in the 50s and 60s. So I mean, even in the 70s,
I've seen worse. But what I did like was the transformation from the bat to him. That was actually kind of decent. I mean, it was almost a 1945 version of a morphing software or something.
Yeah, animated. The same. They used the same technique on Abbott and Costello, which was really cool too.
Yep. So anyway, yeah. So there he was, had his cape up in the air. Frankenstein looks kind of sad. I didn't get a very big, or the monster looks pretty sad. I didn't get a very big part. So
didn't get enough booze.
I think this is British because they usually have that symbol down there at the bottom.
Frankenstein looks like he just drank sour lemonade.
A horror film.
The Wolfman is like, hey, did you hear they laid Jack off at the factory?
But so that's why, because down there in that little circle it says a horror film suitable for adults only.
But no.
There was kissing, or almost kissing, or holding hands.
There wasn't no smooching.
Hypnotizing, putting women under your control. That might have been the whole thing there. I don't know. Here's a very colorful landscape version. I'm sure that's a doctored one of some sort, but I thought it looked kind of cool. With
a Mad Doctor one?
Yeah, Mad Doctor. And then the bottom one is the Super 8.
Yeah, that's
House
cool.
of Dracula.
But that's not.
I know
That's not Carradine at all.
Yeah,
that's
Christopher Lee.
No, it's not. Is it? Is it Christopher Lee or is it
it's some guy in the ad
Dracula,
department they got fangs for?
I thought it looks like the Return of Dracula guy from one other.
I don't know.
It's definitely not in the movie. In this movie,
No, it isn't.
Castle Films.
Speaking of which, that's true. Did we see any fangs in this movie?
No,
I don't remember any fangs.
I don't think we've seen. You saw any fangs in any of the Universal Draculas, if I'm not mistaken.
Draculas.
I don't know. And then this is some ad stuff for the re-release from Real Art Productions. And I
Good
know
old Real Art.
What's that?
Good old Real Art.
Yeah.
Re-release stuff.
That whole newspaper thing that on the white one there on the top, the left side of the page. I actually read all that stuff. It's actually all says the same thing. It basically says all together again, and this guy played this and this guy played that. And, oh, isn't it scary?
The Wikipedia of its time.
Pretty much. And that's where I got the line from about the goose pimple lotion.
Nice.
It was in there.
Thanks for digging that out for me.
I know. I just couldn't resist. It was too good. And then here we can buy our posters and lobby cards and stuff, right? I don't know. I just love that stuff. Yeah, apparently, I don't know what year it was, but Universal had a new CEO, and he said, yeah, I ain't doing this stuff anymore. So
Yeah.
they gave Real Art the rights to distribute theatrically for 10 years or something like that. So
well, that's the reason the quality went down so much is they got with the war and everything going on and stuff. They were afraid nobody would want to be scared by monsters anymore. So they just that's how the end of the monster era came about. they stopped making new ones. That's why they just cut corners on these movies as quickly as. That's why the whole end of Ghost of Frankenstein's tacked on to this one, and it's a shame, but it could have been such a better movie than it was. But
yeah, yeah, they forgot about monsters until the 50s, and they realized they could do kaiju and alien invasions and atomic monsters
and spoofs
and Metaluna mutants.
So the director, and I had forgotten this. I mean, he did these 3
look, he did
horror movies right in a row: The Ghost of Frankenstein, The House of Frankenstein, and The House of Dracula. But he also directed The Island of Lost Souls, which is a genuine masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And he's quite the dapper looking character in this picture. I believe he started his career as a Keystone Cop.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And then they asked him to, who did those? Was it Max Sennett? Asked him to direct some, and then it took off from there. So anything you guys got to say about the director or direction?
I feel like he didn't have a lot to work with under the circumstances, but it still kept that universal feel to it. Mm-hmm. So the dark shadows, the deep shadows, and that kind of thing, and the lighting was just on point, especially when Dr. Edelman was turning evil. He was lit perfectly to make him look so evil. And but yeah, he did a great job, I thought.
I thought that a lot of the ways that he used the set, I just really loved it. Like Chad was saying, with the lighting and stuff, and the shadows, and like when he was bringing the monster back to life, there was some cool shots around there. And I don't know. I think he did. You're right. That's definitely has the same feel. But even though it had all the regular stuff and everything just kind of slapped together, I still liked a few things that I felt like he brought to that one, to this movie. The scene where Edelman has Nina kind of trapped in the lab, and before he strangles her, there's some really beautiful scenes there that I liked a lot. Yeah,
the cave scenes are really shot well too. When they find both. Runs up against the Wolfman and then finds Frankenstein's monster in the mud.
Yes.
With
it's here.
And then Boris Karloff's skeleton. Yeah.
That's Dr. Niemann's skeleton. Yeah.
But they made it sound like it. I mean, was it from the house above, or did it come from like another house down the street? Because it sounded like when you described it.
Well, they didn't. Yeah, you're right. They didn't really explain that. In the House of Frankenstein, he just gets chased into a bog of quicksand.
Boggy bog?
By the mob, right? We always have we continued the consistent use of mobs of angry villagers with torches.
Always. Burn everything down. Just burn it down.
Burn it down.
He says this is a police matter. I think it's a matter for us.
And this is supposed to be a sequel to House of Frankenstein, but that the only mention of the other movie is the Boris Karloff, and that little scene right there.
Yeah.
Doesn't Wolfman get shot in that one and killed? Doesn't she make a silver thing?
I can't remember. I got to rewatch it.
I think she does. So they do the whole you got to be killed by a silver bullet shot.
How many times has that happened?
True.
To me personally, 3.
I thought that they both got killed. I thought, in some reason in my head, I thought that in Ghost of Frankenstein, Dracula and the Wolfman got killed and then just kind of showed up in House of Dracula without any
The House of
expectation.
Frankenstein.
They both come
House
to
of
the same
Frankenstein,
house.
House
Of
of
all-
Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah, and it comes back to the same house.
It's like at the same time within the day of each other. What a
He's
coincidence!
great. I mean,
It's ridiculous, but it's
they got that
eat
whole
my cheese sandwich and be happy.
I mean,
yeah. They got that whole Dracula thing where he shows up, he just walks into the house, and then he takes him downstairs to show him the coffin with the Dracula crest, which makes him automatically believe in the supernatural, I guess. And then
the switch.
I'll here create antitoxins for this blood, or what? He just hands it to Nina and goes, here. I mean, he's supposed to be the mad doctor, but she's the one that's going to create the cure, right?
You and the other nurse scrape enough mold off of these weeds to. The whole mold collecting scene was like.
But the next time that Dracula, the Dracula has an appointment, he walks outside the house and comes to the front door. I'm like, what? When did this start? Last time you just walked in. You also showed the doctor your pathway downstairs to where your coffin was, but for some reason now I'm going to go outside and come in the front door.
Gotta keep up appearances.
Well, that's a reason why I felt like this one was more for kids, because nothing made sense. A lot of, there's a lot of things that logically, this one, I felt like this one was thrown together as a little Saturday matinee thing for the kids who love the monsters, and which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's it didn't have that serious of a tone as like Ghost of Frankenstein, and even Son of Frankenstein. Even though there's some comedy in there in those, this just felt like a shoot for the moon, fun adventure that they could advertise as all the monsters are together, and kids would be like, wow,
because they're really not together.
Yeah.
Their stories just overlap.
Yeah.
But I know we talked about it not being really violent, but I did think that there was something in the fact that the scientist, who you believe in is good, and then all of a sudden he becomes bad, he's tainted. Him strangling Nina and strangling his gardener, I was like, this good guy is really bad. He's really bad.
Not only does he strangle Nina, he throws her like a rag doll down that hole.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's right. That was amazing.
That's it. That's the last we see of her.
And she just goes straight down the well. Just boom. Yeah. And
kids back then, though, were like, yeah, I've seen my dad do that to my mom 5 or 6 times just last week.
It's the basement.
Go
to the basement.
There he goes.
Oh, yeah. These are some
look
of
at
the
those. Look at those mad
so
eyes
cool.
there.
That was
the mad doctor.
If it hadn't have been for the gardener was a little over the top
Yeah.
in his delivery, but that would have been a riveting scene if the gardener guy would have toned it down a couple of steps,
Right.
because that was scary. I mean, he came after him for absolutely no reason,
right? And he was playing with him. He was playing with him, like, "Are you scared? Why are you scared?" It was like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, and when he's running from the mob too,
he had a great run.
So that there's a little bit of unintentional comedy, maybe, because I remember looking at him going, "That guy's booking for an old doctor." I mean,
well, I had it playing on double speed, so you can imagine mine.
He's got Dracula juice in him.
He was moving, but then when he's hiding up there on that hood, God, he just was evil.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was evil.
I love that. I love the shot with the eyes there. The way they stand out.
Well, let's just talk about the cast in general, just a kind of a roundup. Of course, the top picture's got John Carradine on the left as Dracula, always dressed to the nines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this only his second time as Dracula? Or has he done Dracula? Did he do it outside of the 2 Universal movies?
I don't know. I don't think he did it before House of Frankenstein.
Because he would be Dracula
A lot
A
later.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dracula versus Billy the Kid. Or
He made a good Dracula.
Jesse
Mhm.
James. I forget now.
Mm-hmm. He
I
did a
thought
great job.
He was a very distinguished character. The thing I find interesting is House of Frankenstein came out the same year, I think, as Bluebeard, which is a really good movie. And he does a great job in that, where he acts as a serial killer of women. So it's interesting to me that this feels like a step down, whereas that was a more of a I don't know, a leading role, and he did other stuff too like that. So I got to ask you guys a question. Well, first let's get through this. So the doctor, Dr. Edelman, Franz Edelman, is Onslow Stevens. Nurse, I don't even know why they do this, but Melissa, like Melissa spelled with a Z instead of two S's and an I. Anyway, Morell is Martha O'Driscoll. In the right there, and then in the bottom picture we have Jane Addams as Nina. She's almost standing straight there, but she Mega does the hunchback thing, and it actually affects her acting, I think. There's a couple scenes where she's kind of she does this weird motion, and I just am like going, what the hell? Anyway.
Well, Larry Talbot kept hanging his hat on the hump on her back.
Yeah. Well,
she said if I stand up straight, he can't do that.
So rude.
So it looked to me like they actually they tried to put little bumps in her hump to look like her spinal column or vertebrae or something. Nobody else saw that?
I didn't notice that.
What hump?
Right, made it up. Yeah.
Wrong movie.
Your hump used to be on the left.
What hump?
What hump?
So there's Jane Addams on the left. She's Nina, his nurse with a hunchback, and then Larry Talbot, then Dr. Edelman again, and there's Glenn Strange laying on the table.
Sam the bartender.
Strapped in, yeah.
Sam, yes, Sam.
From Gunsmoke, right?
Gunsmoke, yeah.
Yeah. How many hundreds of episodes was he in?
So those are the main leads, other than, where did I put these guys? Lionel Atwill was the inspector again. And I kept looking at, finally I saw him use his right hand. I kept thinking, is this the same inspector from Son of Frankenstein? He's got to be dead by now.
I was watching this. I went,
Wait.
Lionel Atwill again?
Said a couple times over. Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Frankenstein meets
Lionel Atwill.
House of Frankenstein, and this one. Right?
And then the guy on the bottom is
A young
Skelton
Bill Mulligan.
Nags. Skelton Nags, playing Steinmule, who is Siegfried's brother. And he is one weird guy. That anybody in the town would listen to. That guy is crazy. But he gets the mob riled up.
It could be that he just has one eyebrow.
I don't know. I thought I loved him. Every time he came on, I was just waiting to hear what he was going to say, because I knew it was going to be nuts. And he was going to say it real slow.
He says it, and then somebody shushes him away. Get out of here! I know your brother just died, but get the hell out of my sight.
For me, he seemed, all those things were true, but I also felt like he was the Peter Lorre kind of character. You know?
Okay, I was thinking Dwight Fry from
Like a Renfield, or
like
something.
Dracula, and
Fritz
and all that stuff. But yeah, he's the overboard character actor kind of
He later did some Dick Tracy stuff, which, just looking at him, he'd be perfect for any character in Dick Tracy. He played 3 different characters. He played Rudolph.
Lump face. He played lump face, plastic
X-ray.
face.
No, he did play the creep. In
One
the TV
eyebrow.
show.
One eyebrow.
lump face.
Yeah, I'm just making up Dick Tracy.
I know. I got you.
He was in Invisible Man's Revenge, Chad. So you got to watch that now.
Oh, I forgot. He was in the Yeah, I thought he looked kind of familiar, but I never really came out of it. He was in the Ghost Ship, which was a Val Lewton flick, directed by Mark Robson from 1943. He was Finn the Mute.
So I wish he was mute in this
No. He did a lot of uncredited stuff. I guess he was a
Isle of the Dead also.
Yeah.
Val Lewton with Boris Karloff. So yeah. Invisible Man's Revenge.
Has anyone
Definitely-
seen my
Not-
knickers?
Not your least favorite Universal horror movie. The Lodger. Oh wow, he said that too.
I think he did a really good job being the guy who's like always looking to get something or start something, or
He wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
you had to keep an eye on him all the time.
First he's like, hey, we got to kill this Talbot character. He killed my brother. He says, just wait till we figure this out. Leave this up to the police. Then they find the little medallion with Edelman's name on it. We got to kill Edelman. He killed my brother. I don't know how many people he would have killed if you just kept telling them out. No, it was him.
Yeah.
We got to kill him.
What's great about him is the Skeleton Nags, which
Yeah.
sounds like a Hollywood name, is actually
Yes.
his real name. Isn't that great?
Oh,
That's his
that is
real
awesome.
given name.
It is.
It's perfect.
I think I read something about Lionel Atwill. Was this his
This was his last
last-
film, right?
last
Yeah.
movie? I think.
Yeah, he
One
died
of his
soon
last ones.
after this. He had,
6 months after it, yeah.
lung cancer, I think, or something like that.
Lost City of the Jungle and Genius at Work came
You-
after this.
You wouldn't know it from his
Mm-mm.
Not at
from the
all.
screen itself.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, he does a good job. He plays a great inspector of this type. That's why they did it so many times, I think.
Mhm.
He was a go-to.
I think in Ghost of Frankenstein, he was Dr. Boehmer. He was the assistant to Dr. Frankenstein.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And then the other one, he was the one that wasn't he the one that lost his arm?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
pulled it out of socket.
I mean,
Put the darts in his
They put the
arm.
darts. I was gonna say that. I mean,
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see his wooden arm, and
Mhm.
him.
I
crank it,
forgot
you know.
about the shoulder. I was
Yeah.
pulling his arm out. I remember. Yeah, crazy.
Anyway, just a stock player in movies of this type through that era, 30s and the 40s. All right, so we got Dracula. John Carradine steps into the.
so good. That's one. He's one of the reasons to watch him and Lon Chaney, of course,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I think the direction as well. I mean, you can see it in these shots. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
gorgeous. The cinematography, the black and white cinematography.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's just the story so damn stupid.
Well, the
Yeah, that's
cinematographer.
true.
The cinematographer is George Robinson, and then I think I don't know, do they have a production design? It's got art direction, set decoration.
It was so fun seeing you. You kind of talked about this, Jeff, about, I always think more, my first thoughts of him are later in his life. So it was so much fun seeing him here, and he did such a great job. And I really liked the possibility that Dracula he was tired of it. He didn't want this anymore. I kind of believed it at first, but then he was doing all sorts of sneaky stuff, and so I thought that was great.
Now, was he legitimately looking for a cure, or did he come there just to meet the girl?
Melissa.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's what I like, because at first I was kind of, since I hadn't seen this before and I didn't really know much about the story, but so at first I was like, what's going on? So I kind of was going for it hook, line, and sinker. He would have gotten me on there, but then he starts being smarmy and sneaky, and so
because he said he had met her once before, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, they just
could've
came
been.
from
Yeah,
conference
they-
or something.
Yeah.
But
So
I don't think he knew she was there.
Yeah, so he was creeping on her. Once an a-hole, always an a-hole.
He's definitely creeping afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards.
Making her play strange music.
Well, I love this. I absolutely love this scene because he does that. She's playing that. I shouldn't be able to recognize what that music was, but a classic, standard classical piano piece. She's playing along. It's slow and got feeling, and then he walks in and gives her the evil.
Gives her that hypnotize.
Gets her hypnotized. That's exactly right. And then
bat-shaped eyebrows.
Look at that. Yeah, they are.
Oh my gosh. You're so right. But they even have a little top hat on top of each eyebrow, each bat eyebrow.
Oh, there you go.
So, and then she starts playing this crazy music, which is really kind of good and disturbing. I don't know what it was. But then the second, does somebody else come into the room or something and breaks his concentration? And she just kind of flows back into that original piece she was playing. And then there's that scene where he goes with the doctor, and she's going to go walk down to meet the doctor, and he comes out of the door. And it's just really awkward. She goes, "Oh," and she backs up, and he moves out of the way, and then she kind of nods and goes, "Baron," and walks by him. It just was weird, It was, but cool. I mean, I thought it fit. So I have a quiz for you guys.
I didn't
two quiz questions. How many films do you think Decades of Horror has covered that had John Carradine in the cast?
Is it
not just classic year, Decades of Horror?
Across?
Yeah.
15.
13.
14.
Okay, well, 10.
I was just going for the unlucky 13.
It was very good.
Yeah, so I mean, the Black Cat in 34, Invisible Man, Invisible Invaders. Remember that one?
Yeah, he was hardly in Black Cat. He was on the phone, wasn't he?
That's right. He wasn't in it much, but there's a lot
you
of them.
Barely recognize him either.
He was in The Night Strangler that we did on 70s. Kolchak, The Night Strangler.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh wow.
He was in Shockwaves. The captain on 70s, and in the 80s he was in The Howling.
I remember that. That was a great role for him in that.
Yeah, and then Frankenstein Island, not so great a role, but anyway, he was.
I still say they tricked him into being in that movie. Hey, we're going to pay you.
I made the mistake of bringing this up. I don't know if it was on here last week, but in fact, it was on here last week. I said something about him being the American version of Rodin. It was Half Human that he was in the American version of.
Oh, really?
Did you say Bride of Frankenstein?
I haven't yet, but I got it.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay.
He was one of the hunters in that.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I think that's all of them. But yeah, I was surprised when I started looking them up. So, on the other hand, how many Lon Chaney Jr. movies have we done?
14.
13.
7.
5.
5. 14.
Son of Dracula.
13.
Spider Baby. Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein and the Wolfman. And this one. We got a bunch more to go. There's a bunch of great sci-fi movies.
We did Wolfman versus Frankenstein, right? Did you say that?
No, we did not.
You haven't done that yet?
No, we haven't done it yet.
Alligator people. We got to put that on the list now.
Yeah. What's the one? Indestructible Man. That's another one.
The Indestructible Man was an awesome one. I remember that from being a kid.
So anyway, there's a lot more of those.
I remember the scissors in that one where you would stab him and the scissors would just break or bend. An Indestructible Man. It's probably, I'll watch it now. It's probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So this is Jane Addams. The Hunchback in the, I guess we got to have 5 monsters in this. They're all fairly real monsters except the Hunchback. It's just.
It's just a deformity. Oh my God, it's so cringy right now. But I mean,
That
it was because of Igor, right? Or Igor.
Mhm.
Igor.
I prefer Igor.
Igor. You know, it's because of that reference, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's pretty much the only one keeping an eye on everything. She's the one that sees what's going on, you know.
Yeah. I really liked her character, and I thought she reminded me of, I couldn't figure out who she reminded me of. I could have sworn I had seen her before, I think maybe in a Thin Man movie, but I looked her up and she wasn't. It seemed like she was in a lot of Westerns maybe, but I know probably lots of folks were in Westerns, but I thought she did a great job. I liked it. I liked how she was looking out for people a lot, and she was kind of a little bit of like the moral voice for the doctor.
Yeah. Why do all hunchbacks have to be lab assistants? I mean,
or just assistants of some,
or just some kind of assistant. I mean, they're perfectly capable of getting degrees and becoming more than just an assistant to some.
Oh, she made one of those
a-hole doctor that changes when the moon gets full or whatever.
I don't know where I thought of that before. So anyway,
I was up last night at 2 a.m. thinking about that.
She was good. She's sort of the straight person. I mean, so
no pun intended.
well, that didn't come out right, but you know what I meant.
Shoot him, Larry. Go on, shoot him.
Well, the other woman, Martha O'Driscoll, is just sort of a victim of, like, first Dracula's after her, and then she sort of latches on to Lawrence Talbot, which is fine.
And old man Edelman's after her.
But everything is up to Nina. Like, she's the one that says, no, go ahead and you got to cure him first. Right? Even though the doctor promised her. So this guy, I don't know, he's got some magic potion or something. He's going to kill a vampire, wolfman, and
magic mold.
Somebody with a hunchback. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the deal with the Frankenstein monster? What's he want to do with him?
Take over the world, I think.
Might be.
That was after they, that's the first thing. So what did you think when you see? I see Dr. Edelman hooked up for a transfusion with Dracula, and I'm going, this
can't be good.
Right.
I love the way Dracula goes, I'll get him. I'm going to reverse the flow.
I'm going to turn it the other way.
Like, oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Larry, your breath smells like milk bones.
And when he does that, he has these visions. Somehow or another, that got the wrong picture in it.
No, I think that the bottom one is.
The bottom one is, but I had the other one on here too.
Oh.
But apparently I clicked on the wrong thing.
That kind of weirded me out. It was like they just took out his top of his skull and started running a movie in there. It was like,
yeah.
Took off the top of his skull, started running a movie. Oh my God, I love it. But you get to see like little highlights from all the other films.
Exactly.
Which is fun.
Hannibal Lecter's cooking his hypothalamus in lemon juice.
That's right. That's right. This is the other one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where Dracula sort of starts to loom in and become superimposed with his personality, and they got the nice flowy smoke going around.
It's a cotton candy machine.
Anyway. So yeah, Dracula leaves pretty quick. I mean, as soon as he gets his blood into the doctor, then he heads off to grab the woman. But Nina's been watching the whole thing, so she runs in, wakes the doctor up. They run out, see Dracula the bat flying along the outside of the house, and they're like, oh no! So they run down to save her. The doctor runs in, holding up a cross. Dracula cringes, heads out. It's almost sunrise, so he goes down into his coffin. The doctor goes down. And this is the part that I loved about this, is that I could never understand why it's always so damn hard to kill the vampires, because people are always trying to do it at night for some reason.
Yeah.
And so the sunlight comes through the window. He just slides the coffin over and opens it
No.
up.
So easy.
It's like,
And just poof.
So
Boom!
easy.
Boom!
Non-ceremoniously dumped.
Yeah, just moves it over. Taken care of.
bye.
John Carradine had another movie to do. It's like, time to go.
I'll be taking that ring on your index finger
Exactly. Yeah.
and your Colonel Sanders tie, bow tie.
But wait, well, the clothes disappear too. It's so weird with the clothes.
I know.
So did his mustache.
Well, I can see the mustache. It's so funny. It's like it always comes back. It's so weird. Same with
Well,
the
in the Hammer films, they a lot of times go in their clothes, right? At least
Sometimes
in,
then they started putting depends on them.
Yeah.
the original Dracula. I thought his hand goes down and
I made
deflates
brown.
and his sleeve is on. I don't know. Anyway,
Can you imagine Christopher Lee walking around going, I made brown in my pants.
A big brown. Oh no, I did number 2.
well, we got to look at
Wardrobe.
Oh, you know what? I know what else.
Wardrobe. Like, oh.
All right. So we were talking about Jack Pierce. I actually thought these Wolfman transformations were pretty good.
They were.
Mhm.
I agree.
I mean, I was trying to watch them and count the dissolves, but I couldn't. They were so good. I really couldn't do it.
Well, you can watch the mustache vanish.
Yeah.
They put the piece on.
That happens. That happens.
And then when he changes back, it comes back. It's hilarious because it's fuzzy for a bit, and then it goes to like the one above there where it isn't fuzzy. And then when he comes back, he's got just a little line of fuzz.
He's got a mustache all over his body.
The one kind of in the middle, he's got sort of the current kind of beard that's popular, where you just
The current beard that's popular.
well,
No, you're
like
right. You're right.
Duck Dynasty kind of thing or something.
But,
Now if you remember back in the original Wolfman, they made a plaster pillow so his head would stay still.
Yes.
I wonder if they did it here.
And I wondered that too. If there's like I think he was against the wall. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little.
This is when he's in the jail cell.
Yeah.
Changing and that. Okay, we got to talk about that because the Wolfman gets all mad. He's shaking at the gate.
Yeah.
He's shaking at the door, and then he just goes, "Oh."
I actually made a note of that. I'm like,
Passes
what?
out. What
It's
the
like-
hell?
Like 3 seconds of thrashing against the bars and he passes out.
He was so tired.
Yeah.
Woof. Woof.
Throwing all that hair takes a lot out of you.
I was like, oh man, come on,
Physically and emotionally
you
tired.
can tear those bars down there, Mr. Wolfman. And he goes for both of them. He goes for the window bars, and that doesn't work. So he goes back to the front bars.
Yeah.
Everybody scoots back. Ooh.
Well, it's interesting because the next night he's at the house of Dracula, I guess, the doctor's castle, and the doctor says, "You got to cure me, or I'll turn again tonight." And he goes, "Don't worry, we'll just do the same thing we did yesterday." No, I'm not going through that again. I'm like, what?
Yeah, by this time you've done this hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's one more time?
Anyway, I still loved it.
I do like this makeup.
Mhm.
Well, and even I mean, I kind of expected it to look sort of the same, but I thought the lap dissolves I thought were
Mhm.
better than usual, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they did to make it better. I suppose after this was the 4th one, he probably got better at it.
More frames per second, maybe.
Yeah.
But at least Lon Chaney Jr. played him in all 5 appearances, right? So
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, almost forgot. So we had
yes.
Frankenstein in the bog.
Something at the bottom of the outhouse, Ma.
It's Dr. Demon.
How does he know that?
I know.
Exactly.
It's Boris Karloff laying on top of Boris Karloff in another movie.
Well, on screen. Jazz, where's Carlos?
Well, it was kind of cool
That's
because they
so
showed the
funny.
mud was still flowing in, so they didn't really explain that other than something happened to create a fissure that this mud poured out in there,
And it just
all of
happened
a
to be
sudden.
in the exact cave they were in.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I say. Is this all taking place at the same location as the last one?
Yes, yeah, because we jumped off the cliff from the house, and
Mhm.
who knows? Look what's going on here.
Yeah, he don't waste any time either. He tries to he goes, "What? Dracula's gone. I'm getting out of here too."
And then they find like, oh look, here's another path that goes right into the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
How convenient.
And there's a lot of mist and fog down here. Let's bring them.
Perfect for the spores.
Words, yes.
Yep.
Always go at night.
Now, I wasn't too impressed with the
Nice.
electronics in this movie as compared to the.
No.
Yeah.
no.
You can't.
It looked like there were a couple of Strickfaden pieces in there.
Yeah, but a lot of just spinning stuff too. Just
Super scientific. It's stuff we
Yeah.
can't possibly understand how it works.
No, it's
the
probably
best part was when the doctor tries to describe how he's going to cure Lawrence Talbot.
Oh, with the make his brain, his skull soft, right?
Like,
Wasn't that what-
Yeah.
release pressure or
Take
something.
pressure
Yeah.
off his brain.
Yeah, well, here
Yeah.
you turn into a werewolf because you get this weird pressure on your glands,
Yeah.
and so because of that, you become what you expect to become.
Mhm.
I want to be rich.
And then he has to spend, unfortunately, like portion of the movie with this really bad bandage around his head.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Salad bowl. Look like a salad bowl.
But it works. That's even the worst part. It works, at least for a couple of years.
Yeah, until Abbott Costello come around.
Much better movie.
I like how the monsters' electrodes are smoking when they're jacking up the electricity.
Yeah.
I
It's
just like
just
all the knobs and switches that he
Yeah.
was.
it's just unfortunate that he's relegated to such a small, tiny little role.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, he's basically on the bench.
Yeah.
No
Well,
pun intended, but he's on the bench for
Yeah.
most of the movie. And he gets up and throws a couple people around, and then
Right. Just for the
Right.
ending.
Then he
Turns
turns
back-
into Lon Chaney Jr.
Right.
from Ghost of Frankenstein.
Lawrence
Also
Talbot
directed
and
by-
Lawrence Talbot and Melissa come running into the lab. The doctor throws Nina down the hole.
Where else would you put her?
Then Lawrence Talbot shoots the doctor. And then or is that after the cops come in at any place? Anyway, the doctor throws one cop up against the electrical panel.
That's our cop, right? So
And then the monster slaps one of them. And then Lawrence Talbot shoots the doctor. And then the monsters, gets a
Now,
real nasty look at his face.
is the monster still supposed to be blind from way back when, or are they
I
just
don't
giving
think
that
so.
up? Because he always, I mean, he kind of got that.
Yeah, he must be
Walking
blind
around.
because he walked right through the same fire he walked
I know.
through in Ghost of Frankenstein.
But he always seems to, right?
Yeah.
I think they had that, when they tipped over the shelves with all the bottles of stuff on it.
And exploded. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that again, but it almost looked like the bottles on the top shelf were like glued there because they went straight over.
Mm.
They didn't fall at all separate from the shelf. Maybe it just would do it that way. I don't know. All right. I think that's everything.
Well, did we didn't talk about the doctor, Onslow Stevens, Franz
Yeah.
Edelman. What did you guys think of him?
I thought he was great.
I did
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
him. And, I hated to see that he turned
Right.
something bad happened to him because he really did. He was a good, kind man that,
Hmm.
due to Dracula's villainous,
Dracula got him good. I'll
treachery.
get you from beyond the grave.
I could just
Yeah.
snap my neck, but I'm going to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought that too. I totally thought he did a great job being this good guy, and then really, really bad guy.
Well, the lighting on
Really?
him when the
Yeah.
hair's all frizzed out
Mhm.
and the lighting always
Right.
up,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah,
Mhm.
like if
And
you
there
go
was
back to
some-
that Frankenstein shot with him,
Yeah.
you can see
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And the transition when he goes to starts becoming invisible in the mirror, I thought that was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And who
Mhm.
was it? Who was the one? Was it Nina that saw that Carradine wasn't?
Yeah, it was
Right.
Nina.
Yeah, because that was a good shot too.
Mhm.
Clothes and
Those are
all. Visible clothes and everything.
Yeah. Even the top hat. Kind of worried about that.
That's actually those vampires got some strange
Unstable
powers,
unstable molecules.
Claude Rains was so jealous. He goes, I had to take everything off.
He was in this Onslow Stevens was a brigadier general in Them,
Really?
one of the military guys.
I kind of thought that he looked or reminded me of Phil Hartman. So it kind of was fun watching Phil
Oh my God,
Hartman.
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Well, like everybody else, he was in a Bonanza and a wagon train.
Mhm.
You know,
he's in the Creeper and Marco the Gorilla. He's in a couple of low budget little stinkers.
a bunch of these people were in the right around there in the 40s. They made some really low budget ones. There was a couple of them that had Rondo Hatton in them, I think.
Creeper, yeah.
The Creeper, and there was another one. I forget the name of it. There was some Bulldog Drummond ones I saw in some of these people's
Bulldog
history.
Drummond.
One was called 13 Lead Soldiers or something like that. 13 Lead. It was about you needed these 13 lead toy soldiers, gave you hints on where to find some treasure. And people were killing them and stuff. Anyway. All right.
The monster and the
I thought he was good, and I can't say as I've ever seen his name before. That doesn't ring a bell. And he had so much makeup on, it's hard to tell if I'd ever recognize him.
He's a great character, though. A fun character.
He was. Any last comments on this?
I have a comment on the costume.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know it's
You're
what you're
a
waiting for,
Wes.
everybody. Melissa Morell, that nurse. If she was definitely wearing that super squared off kind of 40s dresses, the shoulders, which I thought was really beautiful. But I also noticed that her white nurse outfit was also like specially tailored to be like a gown, like a dress. Like it had these super sharp shoulders
really?
and a tight waist. And it's like, there's no way nurse gown would ever look like that. But it was fun. It looked fabulous.
I was going to ask you about
I
was going to ask you about the one gown. I think it might have, I don't know if it was when she was playing a piano or not, but it was like an evening gown and had this gold border on the shoulders and a gold
sequins and
belt. And I'm like, it just amazes me to think that's what she wore around the house when she got off work.
At her job, that she lives there. Yeah.
I think I'll play the piano. Oh, I got just the dress.
It was beautiful though, but
she was. And I don't know what else. Did anybody look to see what else she had been in? I think
I did not.
A lot of, it's interesting to me, maybe not surprising, but a lot of the women that are leads in this fade away from acting pretty quickly. And I don't know if it's to have families or because they get stuck in these low rent movies or nothing. Her last movie was 1947. But she lived in 1998.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about that before, about how that's happened a lot. Sometimes we hear, like you said, about that she chose to stay home or have a family, but yeah, there's very few that kind of go, that I can think of anyway, that go on and make tons of movies afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. I liked it.
Me too.
Anything else, Chad?
No, I like I said, I like this movie because it's got, you know, the Universal monsters and stuff. It's just not my favorite, and that's not saying that it's bad. You know, it's just not my favorite. My favorite one. But it's a fun movie. It's an hour and change, hour and 5 to 10 minutes to watch, so it's a quick watch. And if you ever need a Universal Monsters fix, you know, and nothing else is available, you know, that's, you know, and it's on our classic monsters,
Yes,
or classic horror right now. If anybody wants to watch it, so cool.
Yeah, classic horror movie channel.
Yeah.
I think it was on several of those, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're Universal Monster completist, you've got to put this in your rotation somewhere. So, but many people, you know, kind of dog it as maybe the worst one, but of the Frankenstein, Dracula, and Wolfman movies. But
it's not bad though. It's really not.
No.
It's just it's a different tone than the others.
It's more evocative of the time than it is of the emotions of it. But because everything that you want to see in it is still up to par. It's just woven in a really odd way. And they they wanted to do it different. It was going to be more of a Dracula versus Wolfman movie, and they made it apparently too violent, and Universal said no, you got to tone it down. That's what we ended up with this instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't nice.
But I mean, if you want to see the monsters actually fight, go watch Abbott and Costello Me First, because they all fight. They all fight in that. They all fight each other
hilariously.
Yes. Well, and also not hilariously. I mean, when the Wolfman grabs Dracula, you know, when he turns into the bat. I mean, that's an awesome scene. We're talking about a different movie now, but I want that in this too. You know, it always that's one of the reasons I dog this one a little myself, is because the stories just overlap. They don't actually intertwine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get them all, but they don't interact. Yeah.
The only character the through point is the mad scientist.
If I remember reading that there were a lot of rewrites on this.
Yeah.
This movie, and there's a lot of stuff going on that kind of hampered it a little, I think.
Apparently, it was called I said Universal. It's something called the Hayes Office, which is that like
that's the censorship guys.
Censorship,
yeah.
Which I guess is another reason why they kind of had to tone down.
Where that kicked in 34 when they got hardcore, until 1960 when they finally allowed Alfred Hitchcock to show a toilet flushing on screen. All right. We good?
We're good.
All right. We have one piece of feedback. Oh,
I thought you said we had one piece of payback. I was like, let's get them. No.
One piece of feedback. From Gregory Crosby about episode 157, Gorgo, which just went live yesterday.
Wow, that's quick. Thank you. Thank you, Gregory.
Appreciate that. Somebody who wants to read this? Chad. I'm picking Chad.
Okay. Gregory says, from the foggy brain of Jeff Mohr to foggy old London, another fun episode about a very fun monster movie. That shot of Gorgo's giant claw above the men in the boat is yet another still burned into my brain, thanks to its inclusion in Dennis Gifford's pictorial history of the horror film.
I love that book.
Gorgo is also an amusing entry in one of Mystery Science Theater 3000's later seasons. As for that hamburger all over the highway in Mystic, Connecticut, Jeff, it's likely the fault of your friends at Communist Martyrs High School.
What?
So we're definitely on the same page.
Okay.
I'm way over here though.
Well, those are both from Fire Sign Theater.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if you guys, it was a thing when I was in the dorms in the 70s, and it was one of those things like Monty Python where it was a radio show, comedy radio show, and people were always quoting it, but the lines made no sense out of context,
Gotcha.
And one of them was just a little cut in. And now it's time for your local news. And there's hamburger all over the highway in Mystic, Connecticut. And then he rotates to another channel, or the piece ends. And there's a whole bunch of those. One of them is the Martyrs, or the Communist Martyrs High School, which I think stole the Scientist High School or something like that. I don't know. It's another weird bit. Anyway, all right. Appreciate it, Gregory, and thanks for the nod. I was hoping you would recognize that. That's it for feedback. But hey, where are you guys? We got like a dozen people that write in all the time, and the rest of you guys are just downloading and listening. And
It's because we were doing shitty movies.
No, we're not. We're doing great.
Even shitty movies are fun to talk about.
Yeah,
All right.
tell us why you thought they were
We
shitty.
need. Yes.
So please make comments.
Suggestions.
Comments on the
Suggestions.
Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or on the Gruesome Magazine webpage, or on the H&R and Gruesome Magazine, or no, Gruesome Magazine's H&R and DOH podcast Facebook group. That's too long. It's like the title of a congressional committee. All right. Please feedback, or just send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com. Now, next episode, we have a new one every 2 weeks. Is my pick, and I don't know what we're going to do yet.
Oh my!
So, it's a mystery
Slipping.
to me. What's that?
Straight slipping.
It's gonna be a surprise. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and I may unsurprise it relatively quickly. I just didn't have time. I got 2 or 3 that I want to do, but when I searched them, they weren't available to stream, and I didn't do the deep search for them yet.
Deep search.
Deep. All right, we need to go. I just don't ever know how to stop these. What
We're like
day
a third
is
long,
this
going a third longer than
movie?
the actual movie.
Plenty of ways to stay in touch. We already did that. So catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie, whatever
So
it might
foggy
be,
in
of the
here.
classic era, as only decades of horror can do it. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.